Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. We're going to continue on with this week's theme of covers. We're looking at a fairly large artist, David Bowie, his song, The Man Who Sold the World. This is the original that we're going to be looking at for this week. Tomorrow we're going to be checking out Nirvana's cover of this. So, really interesting hearing Nirvana and David Bowie spoken about in the same sentence. But I'm really interested to get to that. But first, in order to see how Nirvana might have changed or adapted it, we need to look at the original. Alright, so let's dive into this one. We got David Bowie's The Man Who Sold the World. This is the 2020 mix. It is what it is. Sometimes it's hard to find originals. So we're just going to go into this and see what's up.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, right off the bat though, really clear production. Yeah, we got Aguero over there on the left hand. Really clear, solid bass tones. And some texture layering right there. Yes, passing this riff between all these instruments.
I laughed and shook his hand and made my way back home. I searched for all the land. For years
Was that
and
organ
years
there?
alone.
The last verse?
I
Or is that in addition for this one?
At all the millions here, we must have died alone a long, long time ago. Who knows?
A lot of really nice auxiliary percussion in this track. And having that acoustic guitar playing throughout most of these sections really allows the transitions to be extremely smooth, even when they're a bit rougher. Really interesting. I think that's a 7-bar phrase. Really beautiful harmonies here though. Bringing the Aguero back to finish this track off. Bring every instrument back, I think, actually. Yeah, real solid track. It doesn't really change too much tonally and atmospherically, but I think it does a fantastic job at doing what it sets out to do, and you can't fault a song for that. So yeah, first of all, I really want to talk about the instrumentation in this. I think it is this really nice combination between some more traditional instruments and some more modern instruments. We have a classical guitar and an electric guitar. We have a ton of more auxiliary percussion stuff. The guiro, we have some sort of shaker element, some sort of uh, hollow instrument with beads or something inside of it. Shake sort of like maracas, but a very different tone, very muted. Definitely sounded wooden as well. Although I guess I think I don't remember. I can't remember if maracas are traditionally wooden or not. Anyways, there's a shaker instrument that popped up, but there's also a modern rock drum kit. Um, we have very, I don't want to say raw vocals, but I think there are moments in here where there is less production on the vocals, and then there's certainly some sections with more production to give them extra width or extra reverb or whatever. There's this duality in this track of old versus new, acoustic versus modern. That's a weird way to phrase that, but I hope I hope my thoughts are being conveyed at least, because like I said, that's not the best description for it. But yeah, there's this duality between old and new. I think that's the best way to word it. And I absolutely love how it comes together into the sound that the track is. There's certainly moments of it that feel very modern. I don't know if some of that is from the 2020 mix. I'm actually really curious to hear how the original is. I'm also curious to know when the original is. But well, that's gonna have to wait until I go look at the lyrics. Um, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, there's a very modern feel to a lot of this stuff, production wise, and like I said, that might be the mix. But if not, then I'm really enjoying the way that the song comes together. Um, it's really about, at least to me, the atmosphere of it. Like I mentioned when the song finished out, there isn't really a lot of difference. We kind of bounce between verse chorus, we move between them rather quickly. The foundational work, first of all, the chords, very similar throughout, very similar vibe given through the chord progressions, but also we have that classical guitar, the acoustic guitar being strummed, the chords on it pretty much nonstop. And like I mentioned during the song, it helps tie everything together because there is that very harsh stop at the end of the chorus when it's just the acoustic guitar, and I think the electric guitar comes back in with that dun 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 dun, and I think that's the beginning of the verse. And there's just a very harsh cut between when the chorus ends and when that guitar line comes back in. And what really helps it feel more cohesive is having that acoustic guitar still present. The acoustic guitar didn't really stop playing. So we have this bass line with the chords, the acoustic guitar, the drums. They don't really do anything until there's a couple of moments where the drum has these really nice fills with great presence to them, great energy. But other than that, they're kind of laid back, pushed down a bit out of the way of the attention, not necessarily in the mix. They're just not as attention grabbing. And these three elements, the chords, the acoustic guitar, and the subdued drums, they are in every bit of this song, and they help every section of it have this connective tissue. So it brings the song from beginning to end and helps it feel like a single track rather than a series of disjointed ideas. But what it also does is allow the song to feel static. The song, at least to me, feels very stationary. We don't really move anywhere. The song feels the same throughout. It really is, at least to me, the melody lines that make every section feel unique. First, obviously, the lyrics and how they're delivered, the melody lines that David sings, but also that bass line that gets passed over to different instruments um, in the chorus starts on a low note and goes up through the. I think it goes up through the scale, honestly, and then it moves up a third or something, moves up with the chord progression and does it again. Um, so yeah, I mean that part is huge. It's very attention grabbing. It's very front center. There's a lot of movement to it, which we don't really see elsewhere. It is just a series of eighth notes. Um, and it is just a huge signifier of, hey, we're in the chorus now. But aside from that, and obviously the vocal lines that David sings, the music itself doesn't really change much. The underlying stuff, the foundational stuff, we get the organ out of nowhere. I, I don't remember the organ in the first verse, but it was definitely there in the second. It was there at the end when we were doing the outro stuff. Um, but the overall vibes and feels of the track are just, it's very similar throughout. Um, and I think it works well for a song this short. I don't know how long you would want to drag that out. But we're also going to look into the lyrics in a little bit and see if there's anything in there about possibly being static or unmoving. Because um, to me, I feel like I needed just a little more oomph, at least on a first time listen, not having any sort of artistic overviews of maybe how lyrical themes and musical themes might line up. But the song is just very static. However, I do really enjoy the small nuances that we get to change the static nature up. Like I mentioned, I think they introduced an organ in the second verse. It might just be that I didn't hear it in the first one. I don't know, but that little change, um, giving the bass a lead melody line instead of more of a rhythm section kind of bass line that we saw in the verse. We go into the chorus and the bass is leading the melody. Yeah, really nice change. And then of course going into the outro, we go back to the chorus idea, but we completely change what's on top of it. We bring in all these harmonized vocalizations. So it's the little nuances, I think. Oh, plus the drum fills. There are drum fills all over the place that help the song have a little bit of burst of energy and put a little bit of contrast against a lot of that static element. So it's not like the song is completely standing still. There's small variations being thrown in, small little ornamentation ideas that help it, help keep the momentum forward and driving, while not feeling like it's standing in place too much. So it once again, it's this back and forth, it's this duality. I'm seeing this all throughout the song. I'm really interested to get into the lyrics and see what's going on there. Now here's something interesting. The lyrics are not anything too insane. Bowie is a man of metaphor, from what I understand, and there's definitely some depth that can be read into this. But there's also a very clear surface read of this story, uh, of this song, which I find is interesting. It's about seeing another side of you, a side that you thought was gone. And I think that changes my perception of this song entirely. I talked about the song being static and it had a really strong element of atmosphere, but I never really dove into what that atmosphere might be. And that's because I couldn't really place it. Um, it's not bright, but it's not super dreary. Um, and there's some elements in it that I thought were kind of um, horror-esque, had some elements of fear to it, but they weren't too prominent, so I couldn't really place it. But I think all of those fit well into this, and it ties heavily into this idea of duality that I have already touched on with the instrumentation and some of the ideas going on in the production. Yeah, like I said, the song's about finding another side of you that you thought was gone. and talking to this other side. And yeah, there's definitely something haunting about that. And I think haunting's the perfect word here. It's not horror. There's not fear, dread. Dread, I think, is the word that I'm trying to allude to. There's not dread in this, but there is a type of fear. There is a this uncanny sort of supernatural element of realizing that a part of you that you might have forgotten about or thought you moved on from, a phase from your past, didn't really die out. It just kind of lay dormant within you. And one day you might look in the mirror and see that person again. Um, and having them say something along the lines of, he says, I spoke into his eyes. I thought you died alone a long, long time ago. And the chorus comes back from this other person, says, oh no, not me. I never lost control. That is, that is spooky for sure. Especially with this idea that the person that he's talking to is the man who sold the world. And in the last chorus, I didn't catch on this in the song itself, the I never lost control has been replaced with we never lost control, which is where I'm getting this idea that it's another side of him. Um, and he calls himself the man who sold the world. And that part I'm not really catching on to. I don't know how important it is. It might be important for understanding Bowie's interpretation of the song, but I don't think it's too important to understanding the thematic relationship between what's going on in the music and what's going on in the lyrics. Um, However, I do have an interpretation in this case that sold, instead of selling the world in the sense of owning the world and, reprieving the ownership of it for something, cash or goods or whatever. Not in that sense, but the sense of fooling the world or pulling, pulling a fast one on the world. And I wonder how much of this was David Bowie thinking that he didn't deserve the fame he had. I don't know. I see this was also written in 1970s, so um, possibly early on in Bowie's career. I don't know where 1970 fits as far as Bowie's works. I don't even know what number album this was. I just know it was a 1970 album. So, like I said, this might be an early album of his, and I kind of get that vibe. Um, that it might be the imposter syndrome represented in music, which brings about this duality in the song itself. And I just absolutely love the way that everything's kind of coming together here. And like I said, the mood fits it. Looking at it from this perspective, there really is no need for the song to change in any way, um, because that would imply that this person has changed. And while there might be this idea of rejoining or a combining of your present self and a past self with the idea that we never lost control, kind of bringing this idea of togetherness in the lyrics, I kind of think that the fact that the song retains this duality throughout implies that there's still a distance between at least the narrator's present self and this past feeling, or yeah. But it also really brings into question what's going on in the end with all those harmonized vocalizations. I need to listen to it again, but there was definitely something a bit more haunting about that part. And I wonder how much of that has to do with um, this other feeling, taking over, being reminded of it, and that kind of idea. That's why there's multiple voices at the end when I don't think there were multiple voices elsewhere. I don't think we had vocal harmonies anywhere else in the track. I don't know. Some stuff to chew on for a second listen. But yeah, really cool stuff. And I love how really great artists. I don't know how much influence David had on the music. I don't know what kind of instruments he played. So I'm not sure where to attribute this, but I absolutely love it when I can listen to a song, dig into the music, pick out ideas, and then dig into the lyrics and say, oh, that's perfect. This is exactly what I was feeling. It takes a master composer to inject the lyrical themes or any themes, honestly. It doesn't have to be lyrical. Could, if it's a score to a film, take that emotion, take the ideas that are present elsewhere and inject them into the music so that when you're listening to the music alone, you can still feel those ideas. Yeah, absolutely love it. This is where you guys come in. Those are my thoughts on David Bowie's The Man Who Sold the World. What do you guys think? Did you enjoy this or not? Do you have any thoughts about the song? Do you think I was close? Do you have any insight into this? Let me know. Start some conversations in the comments. I'll definitely join in. When you're done commenting, you can head up to the description box. In there is a link for Linktree. It'll take you to this menu right here with links for everything related to the channel. You can join the Patreon and help support the channel, vote on future themes and songs. You can follow me on Twitter, join the Discord community, check out what I've been listening to. There's a lot of stuff. Just head in there and see what's up. Above that, if you could, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. We got one more video coming out in about 8 minutes. It's going to be our special selection for the day. It's going to be a 25-minute song. So if you're planning on checking that one out with me when it debuts at 10:30 UTC, be ready. Take these 8 minutes to get some water, get a snack, and meet me back here, and we'll go ahead and check that one out together. All right, until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical of the music you listen to. Have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you choose to watch my videos.